wide, beautiful place where the silence resonates like the most enchanting music and the air is sweeter than honey, lies a mysterious magic lake. Every morning, above its clear blue waters, a host of beautiful lotus flowers open, rejoicing in the beauty of the world around them and sharing their joy with one another. Each of these lotus flowers is, in its own way, unique and noble. White, pink, red, and even yellow and blue, and the magic lake reflects them in its waters. Once upon a time, something very special happened in this lake. The great white lotus spoke to the little seeds that had matured in the seed pod at its heart.
My dear children, now you have become ripe, and it's time to start your path. You have a difficult and dangerous journey ahead of you. At the end of it, each of you can be as beautiful as the inhabitants of our world. However, not all of you will travel your path to the end and return home. So listen to me very attentively, for this ancient knowledge has been passed down from generation to generation. In each of you, 3 treasures are hidden that cannot be bought, even with gold. If you are in danger, but you can remember them, you can pass the most difficult of trials. These 3 treasures are truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. There is no situation where they cannot help you. Mysterious ancient writings contain these 3 treasures as 3 symbols. But listen, there is more.
And the great white lotus whispered its last advice to the little seeds. Finally it said,
I believe in each of you, and I'll be waiting for you when you return home to the surface of the magic lake.
In the evening, the pod carrying the lotus seeds bent low over the water surface, and all of the seeds fell into the water of the magic lake. One of the seeds was quicker than the others. It wondered,
why did the great white lotus flower say that our paths will be difficult? The water is clean and clear, and I can even see the sun reflected in it.
The little seed was too innocent to know that it is much easier to fall downward than to climb up. The deeper the tiny seed sank, the darker the water became, until all around it was mud and silt.
Oh! Oh, oh!
Cried the little lotus seed.
I can hardly see anything.
But it sank deeper and deeper into the mud, and it grew so afraid that it closed its eyes. After some time, the little seed decided to open first one eye and then the other, but it still couldn't see anything.
Where should I go now? Where is my home? How do I get back?
As if to answer its questions, the little seed heard some strange gulping sounds. Something dark and long was approaching it rapidly. Soon the little seed could see it was a huge crocodile. The animal's back bore its name, but in the darkness, it was impossible to read.
Little seed, little seed.
The creature began to speak in a deep, menacing voice.
I have been waiting for you. A new life awaits you, and I'm willing to give you some valuable advice. There are all kinds of situations in life. Sometimes someone might accidentally bump into you. After all, this is a very dark place. Or perhaps because they are in a bad mood, and among the inhabitants of our world, it is almost always bad. Someone might say something hurtful to you. Never let that go unpunished. Return it to them with double or triple force, Hit back as hard as you can so that others recognize just how powerful you are and how they can't interfere with you.
The mysterious being continued its energetic speech. Filled with fear, the little seed thought,
Perhaps it should be so. How else can one survive in such an awful place?
But suddenly it remembered the words of the great white lotus flower and thought,
If I follow the advice of this being, I will stay forever in this dirty place and will soon look just as awful.
The monstrous creature, the underwater crocodile, approached slowly. Had the little seed followed only a tiny bit of its advice, the crocodile could rightly have bitten off a piece of it. In this world, nothing was for free, not even advice. It would then no longer have been possible to return and become a beautiful flower above the magic lake.
There's a way out of every situation. There's a way out of every situation.
The little seed repeated to herself, and suddenly it remembered the 3 treasures, the secret of the great white lotus flower.
In each of you, 3 treasures are hidden that cannot be bought, even with gold. If you are in danger, but you can remember them, you can pass the most difficult of trials. These 3 treasures are truthfulness, compassion, forbearance.
And then a miracle happened. At that moment when the little seed refused to accept the wicked advice, a luminous glow of compassion enveloped it, like a bright star that spread light all around. On the back of the monster, one could now read its name, Evil. A strong force suddenly made the little seed shoot upwards, as if it were on a giant swing. Gradually, a completely different world appeared. The world of black darkness was now far below, and all around the little seed was just dark grey. It was easier to breathe, too. The little seed looked around and realized,
Yes, I've got 2 petals. Wow, I'm turning into a real flower.
but it was still too early to rejoice. Out of the bleak surroundings, a slimy, warty toad approached. It paddled toward the seed with its huge webbed feet and croaked.
Welcome to our world, little seed. Our rules are simple. Everyone for himself. Help no one. Just protect one's own self-interests, whatever the costs. And for that purpose, one can also lie. If you have done something wrong, simply pin it on someone else. If you're sharing candy, do it this way. 5 for yourself, 1 for the other person.
The little seed opened its eyes wide with terror and stared at the creature that had spoken such strange things. They were quite different from what the great white lotus flower had taught. This time, the thought about 3 treasures came into its mind much faster, because staying in the grey world and living according to the rules of this monster was not what the little seed wanted. At that moment, truthfulness shone forth like a beacon. A protective veil enveloped the little seed and pushed it forcefully upwards. On the back of the warty toad, one could read dishonesty. Now the little seed found itself in a murky world, but could happily move all 6 of its petals. Yes, there were now 4 more, because with every victory, the little seed grew stronger. Somewhere above it, the seed could already see the sunbeams. But the test was not over yet. A nasty worm, which looked more like a fat snake, appeared in the distance. It swam slowly closer, looking at the little seed and studying it, as if trying to find its weaknesses. The worm was not as powerful as the evil inhabitants of the other worlds, but smarter. It spoke with an ingratiating voice.
You're lucky, little lotus flower. Now you can rightly be called so. In our world of peace, there is no wind, and it is not so dark. The rules are simple and easy. First, if you do not want to do something, then don't do it. Neither learn nor go to great lengths. We work around our difficulties. Second, we do not need friends, because if you have friends, you might have to endure their bad moods or help them in difficult situations. Third, if someone says something unpleasant to you, do not hold yourself back. Even the very worst things that come to your mind, you can say them.
Of course, it is tempting not to try hard. But then, I will never learn anything new. And besides, being alone with no friends is boring. How terrible! No, no, no,
thought the little lotus flower.
I have everything in me to escape from this dim, boring world.
The third treasure was ready to help. The star of forbearance blossomed quickly in its heart, and glowing like mother of pearl, a ball of light enveloped the little lotus flower, and it slowly began to rise up. The worm, called laziness, was rapidly getting smaller and remained in the deep before disappearing completely. The sunlight became brighter and brighter, and the water around clearer and clearer. The little lotus flower became stronger and stronger. Its stem grew faster, and it was full of confidence. The dark, grey and murky worlds now lay far below it. There was also no boundary anymore between water and air. The little lotus flower appeared on the surface of the mysterious magic lake.
Welcome home, little lotus flower.
It was the great white lotus.
Now that you have become strong and beautiful, you can support others with your strength and delight the world with your perfect beauty.
The little lotus flower looked at its reflection in the lake and saw a magnificent flower with sparkling translucent petals. And all around grew more and more lotus flowers. Each had followed its own path, and they now showed their unique beauty. And if you look closely, you can see their hopeful look, as if they are saying to you, Follow your own path well.